Happy Friday, everybody. Today is May 30th, and we got the top 5 free science fiction and fantasy bestsellers for you this weekend. That's because every Friday, the team here at MetaStellar reads the first few chapters of each of these books from the Amazon bestseller free list. They have a free list of bestsellers just in the sci-fi and fantasy category. It's linked down below. Great thing to bookmark. Today's list has a werewolf who kills vampires, an epic fantasy, and 2 space operas in which humanity is fighting an alien enemy. One of them is by a USA Today bestselling author, and the other one of them is a complete set of a series. But before we get to that, hi everybody, welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV, I'm the editor here at MetaStellar, and today Lilibet Dominguez-Torres, Terrence Smith, and E.S. Foster contributed to the reviews, and Terrence and Emma are here with us today. Hey Terrence, hey Emma.
Okay.
All right, and let's skip over everything else of the bureaucratic stuff and go straight into the books. We're going to start out with book number 5, and then we're going to count down to book number 1. And let me make that book a little bit bigger for you guys. Here we go. Displaced by Bridget Baker. This is the first of 7 books in the Birthright series, which is a romantasy series. The other books are $7 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited is where you pay 12 bucks a month and you read all the books you want, as long as they're in Kindle Unlimited. It's a good deal if you like to read a lot of books and you don't mind being part of the whole Amazon hegemony. So I read the beginning of this book, and it's about the modern world in which there's a group of kind of magical beings called Evians who live on an island in Hawaii and secretly rule the world. So Chancery is an avian, and she's 17 years old, and she lives on this Hawaii island. And her mother is the Empress, and she's ruled for nearly 900 years. So these people live a long time. And Chancery was born with some kind of disability, which I'm not clear about yet, and she should have been killed at birth, but wasn't. So these are not nice people at all. I guess they haven't evolved much in 900 years. Her best friend Lark is secretly half human, and if the other Evians find out, they'll kill her. Again, they're not nice people. And Lark is a year older than Chancery, and she wants to get a job in the intelligence subsection so she can go out and live among the humans. But it's a competitive kind of career, and if she defeats Chancery in a challenge, she'll be sure to get a spot. And Chancery may be willing to throw the fight, but people won't believe that the battle was real and not staged unless they have a big public falling out first. But also, she's not all that enthused about throwing a fight for someone as far down in the pecking order as Lark is. So again, not nice people. And if Lark can't get into this intelligence subsection, she'll have to work for her Uncle Max, restructuring corporations all day long. Which does not sound like a big problem. But anyway, Chancery is third in line for the throne, and she has an evil twin who's ahead of her. And also, all the human rulers on the planet know about the Evians, but they keep it a secret from everybody else. And Chancery's mother's birthday is coming up, and this is the Empress. And the US president and a bunch of other global leaders are all coming to pay their respects. And they're all just figureheads for these Evians. And the Evians are like kind of like secret gods playing with human fates on a whim. What else? Oh, Chancery has a crush on her evil twin sister's boyfriend. So lots of teenage drama here, lots of weird politics. And I have to admit, as an adult, I do not like teenage drama. I did not like Chancery. I certainly did not like her mother. I didn't even like Lark. Maybe it's because I've gotten old and grumpy and I hate teenagers and their problems. And this is the third book, the second time this book is coming up on the Free Friday list. And I've read it before. I didn't stick with it. I don't think I'll be sticking with it this time either because I'm not the target audience. But if you like teenage drama and secret global magical cabals, the book does pull you in and you'll probably enjoy reading it. All
Can
right.
I can I make one comment?
Yes, Terrence.
What that you what you described just reminded me of this other young adult fantasy book by an author named Karsten Knight called Wildfire. And that story also has an element of Hawaiian mythology in it. The protagonist, she's the reincarnation of a goddess named Pele, and the reincarnations of other gods from different mythologies featured in that story as well. So anyone who likes this book here might want to check out the Wildfire books.
Terrence, could you add that to the comments when we post the video?
All right.
So you can look up the link to it. And
Mhm.
also, that might be a more interesting read because I did not see any signs of Hawaiian mythology or history in this. And if you look at the book cover here, again, let me make that a little bit bigger for you. This girl is blonde. So, yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
these
why,
are
why
ancient
is she
Hawaiian blonde.
blonde?
Because she's not an ancient Hawaiian blonde. She's just a general goddess kind of person, Evian. So yeah, let's go on to the next book, an epic fantasy, which I think is going to be more up your alley, Terrence. All right, let me pull that up for you guys. Here it is. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Here we go. Path of a Novice by R.K. Lander is the first of 6 books in the Sylvan epic fantasy series. The other books are $1 to $5 each, and they are all in Kindle Unlimited. And Emma read this for us. Emma, what did you think of this book?
I have a lot of thoughts on this book. So it's epic fantasy, which is some of you might know that's one that I usually am the first to snatch up because I really enjoy epic fantasy. So it begins with a account of a warrior. He's on his deathbed. This one, I don't think it was named because it centers on Renan, who is one of the people who is like a friend and mentor to this person on his deathbed, and he's sort of watching it. He knows that his friend is about to die. He doesn't have much hope, and he's got all these kinds of wounds on him. So a few moments later, the warrior dies, and Renan is able to say goodbye. Afterwards, Renan comes across the crown prince, and at this point, we get a little bit of backstory on the kingdom and what the story all has to deal with it in terms of sort of like the politics and everything. And it seems that the king has just randomly locked himself away a few years ago. So it's up to all the princes to figure out what to do about the conflicts taking place. So Renan doesn't seem too hopeful about the situation either. The story then shifts to 3 different people. They're all in a group, but one of them is named Falanar. He's an elf, and he's young. He's being trained as a novice warrior, hence the name of the book. So at this point, I'm not sure if he's training to be a warrior for some sort of like destiny type fulfillment sort of thing, or a prophecy. It does seem like there's a prophecy involved because there's a lot of hints of him having to take up this training for very grand reasons. An important thing to know about this character is that his ancestry belongs to 2 different groups, the Alpines and the Sylvans. So the Sylvans are elves, and being a mix of him of them has brought a lot of strife because of the tensions between the 2 groups. So that's important backstory to know. Falanar and the 2 others, they're making their way to a nearby city, and there they're going to be placed in the barracks to continue their warrior training. Because again, Falanar's a novice. So along the way, they spot a deviant, and it's a human who was trying to achieve immortality and in the process became a zombie-like monster because of it. So the 3 of them use on this for a few minutes and like the futility of trying to be immortal, and then they continue on their journey. So at one point, the 3 travel through a forest. They come across a warrior who questions Falanar about his heritage, and Falanar doesn't really take too kindly to this. He responds in anger because the other guy is kind of taunting him. And the warrior turns out to be a leader of the barracks that they're heading to, so they journey to the city together. And that's about where I stopped reading. I really like some of the ideas in the story, especially like the deviants and things like that. And the pace was also really good for me because with epic fantasy, it could be really hard to get that pacing down. The big thing for me about this one, though, was that there was so much head hopping. Like it wasn't omniscient narrator. It was going from one person's headspace to another all in the span of a few paragraphs. So it actually, when I was doing this review, it took me a long time to figure out who was who and whose headspace I was reading because I wanted to make sure that I was focusing on the main character, but I couldn't tell who the main character was. So I don't think I'll continue with it, but it's not to say that other people won't enjoy this series, especially if you really like epic fantasy. So check it out.
Yeah, that's a problem. I have a lot of epic fantasies with big
Yeah,
casts because it jumps around between all the characters. And also have another problem. I have a really hard time remembering people's names.
yeah, it's one
So,
thing if it's like if it splits up in scenes and chapters so that the reader knows for sure who they're looking at and who they're reading about. But this was like it would get into somebody's headspace in one paragraph and then the next paragraph it would shift to somebody else's. So it's like when the three people were in the group, I was like, okay, who's actually the novice of the story here? Like what is going on? Who do I need to care about most?
yeah, that would be hard. Okay, let's go on to book number 3 on today's list. And let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. Here we go. Smitten with the Vampire King. Because this is something completely different. It's by Kinsley Adams, and this is the 7th book of a 9-book series called Dating Monsters, which is a paranormal romance. The other books are $5 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And according to the description, you can read these books out of order, but they recommend that you start with the first book, Dating Dracula, which is also free today. So you should pick that up. I'm going to link that in the description as well, so that you don't have to hunt around for it. So Lilibet read this for us, and since she's not here, Emma, can you tell us what Lilibet thought of the book?
She seemed to like it. So she says that it starts off as a fun paranormal romance full of secrets and forbidden love. Already, I know I'm not the target audience, but I digress. So, in the first few chapters, we follow Maddie. She is both a werewolf and a vampire hunter. So, being a werewolf makes her very good at killing vampires. I'm not sure why, but it does. She recently found out that her mate is none other than Gabriel, who is a vampire that she met a few nights ago. And she kind of freaks out about this whole revelation because in the first chapter, she was chasing down a vampire through a forest because she's a vampire. She reasons that she could shift to her wolf form to get rid of this vampire bastard because now she wants to get rid of him. But even though the world knows that vampires exist, they don't know that werewolves exist. So she doesn't want to risk it. I don't know why at this point that she doesn't want to risk being found out because if people already know about vampires, I feel like they could also stomach werewolves. But she wishes that the world could know about her existence, but only people at work and her friends really know about it. And Lilibet actually says that she likes this aspect of the story. I kind of don't get it, but I feel like you kind of have to read it to really get the feel of what the author is going for. And because of the main character can't really get too comfortable and always has to be wary of her surroundings, it's kind of looming toward a big forbidden romance on the horizon, and she's really having it hard. So Elizabeth says that over the next few chapters, in addition to watching Maddie chase the vampire and learning how this world works, we're also introduced to Maddie's vampire slaying friends. But other than that, nothing really much else happens. It was more than enough, though, Lilibet says, to capture her interest. And she says that it's fun, fast-paced, action-packed, and she was really intrigued to know what was going to happen. She also can't deny the natural way the characters were presented, and she wanted to know more about them. So she says she definitely recommends this book, and it's not actually that long of a book, so it sounds like a nice weekend read.
Okay, and the next book on today's list is something completely different. Here it is. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. This is the Omega Task Force by G.J. Ogden, and it's a box set of all 6 books in the Omega Task Force Space Opera series. And this series is one half of the 12-book Sonera Universe series. And the other books in the series are $1 to $4 each, and they are all in Kindle Unlimited. The author has been on our Free Friday list before. We've reviewed a bunch of his other books. They have a lot of books up on Amazon, and I think the author has won awards for his writing and tons and tons of five-star reviews for these. People love them. And Terrence read this for us. So, Terrence, what did you think of this book?
I thought it was an interesting read. I think people who are fans of the Star Wars franchise will enjoy this. It contains elements that are reminiscent of key elements and events from the franchise. The military and this book series and this universe, virtually everyone has had a neural chip implanted in them since birth. And the alien race they're up against, they have the ability to hijack these neural chips and turn the human soldiers against each other. Anyone who has seen Revenge of the Sith and is familiar with the events of Order 66 will find this familiar. The alien race also reminds me a little bit of this enemy force and this Star Wars novel series called the New Jedi Order. In that series, there's this alien race called the Yuuzhan Vong, which comes from deep space and is incredibly brutal and ruthless. So the enemies in this book remind me a little bit of them. Story-wise, this has the sci-fi adventure and moral ambiguity of G.J. Ogden's previous work. The protagonist, Lucas, he was recruited to be part of this special military black ops task force, which goes in and kills the human soldiers that have been controlled by the enemy army, since a lot of soldiers would probably have hesitancy to kill members of their own race. And Lucas in the story, he is dealing with the guilt and anger he has had over having had to kill one of his subordinates who was also a close friend, since her brain got hijacked by the enemy alien race. And that was actually the event that got him recruited to the special task force. So what I suspect is that there's going to be a bit more of that moral dilemma throughout the story, as well as him dealing with his personal feelings, dealing with possibly losing his humanity. So, as far as whether or not I would continue reading it, I might. It seems interesting enough.
Thanks, Terrence. And before we go on to the number one book on today's list, the one by a USA Today bestselling author, I want to thank our Patreon supporters. Let me make that list a little bit bigger so you guys can see this. And we really appreciate you guys because MetaStellar is run completely by volunteers, including me and Emma and Terrence and everyone else on our board, all our judges, all our editors, everybody. And all the money that's raised goes to pay for original fiction by actual human writers. We do not accept AI generated stories. And so if you want to support our mission, you can donate to our Patreon and you can also join the channel. So there's a paid membership option on this YouTube channel, but a regular subscription, as always, is free. And you can also get a free newsletter by subscribing to it and get all the Free Friday reviews in your inbox every Friday afternoon. And the link to that is in the description box below as well. And I also want to mention that Emma Foster is a book editor and coach, and you can actually hire her to work with you. And I am a science fiction author, and those three books are on the humorous science fiction bestseller list on Amazon. Thank you guys for that. I really appreciate it. And I also want to give a shout out to my brother who fixed a very embarrassing typo in a story I wrote at my day job as a technology journalist and helped me win the top national journalism prize in my technology journalism field for stories that I did on quantum computing. So thanks, Constantine. You know, if you're watching this, I appreciate it. Okay. Oh, and I've also forgot to mention that Terrence is a video game reviewer. He's got well over 100 reviews up on Game Rant, and he also has a science fiction novel finished, and we will be serializing it on MetaStellar this coming fall. And speaking of serializations, last year was serialized Gods and Monsters by award-winning author and artist Evie Smith, and this is her original painting on the cover. Fantastic book, very thoughtful about vampires and werewolves during the height of the AIDS epidemic. Super thoughtful, interesting, and very creative and unusual. Definitely worth a read. Yes, E.E. King. Did I mispronounce that? And we also have a bunch of our anthologies available for order, including year 1, 2, and 3. And those are linked in the description box below. And these are the best short stories from the first 3 years of MetaStellar. And the year 4 anthology, we're currently putting it together, and Emma is in charge of that. She's editing the anthology. And if you want to volunteer as an editor, as a story judge, as somebody who helps us with a YouTube channel or with just general administrative stuff, or with our book reviews, please email me. My email address is in the description box below. All right, let's get down to book number 1 on today's list. And this is one that I started reading because I love space operas. This is my all-time favorite genre. And this book is the first of 6 books in the space opera series, A Prayer for Earthrise. And it's Hear, O Earth by Daniel Arenson. And Arenson is a USA Today best-selling author. The other books are $1 to $6 each, and they are all in Kindle Unlimited. And this author has been on our Free Friday list a lot. So, I love space operas because they're super escapist. They're as escapist as you can get. And this particular story starts right out very far from Earth on a distant planet with a situation straight out of a Lovecraft horror story. So Mia is a 9-year-old girl who's been locked in a cell for days. There's a mountain nearby, and under that mountain, there's a terrible creature that's all tentacles and wrath, and it wants to eat her, and it's looking forward to it. So Mia is intended to be a sacrifice, and the residents of this planet, the colonists, feel that her death will bring another year of peace to the planet and lower the amount of mutations that everybody's suffering from, including their crops. Apparently, this is a really deadly planet to live on, and there's a lot of mutant humans out beyond the dome. And everybody's dying of cancer. I mean, it's just really horrible. I can see why the colonists have gone crazy and started worshiping horrible, creepy alien monsters. Because, you know, why not? What else are you going to do? And so her mother tells her that this is an honor, that the family is truly blessed, and hands her over to the priest. But the mother still cried when Mia was taken away and locked up in the cell. And so we learn a lot about this little colony, the deadly radioactive sun, and this whole priestly tradition. And Mia gets prepared to be sacrificed to the alien, and she's dressed up, and they put jewels on her, and all sorts of stuff. It's so creepy. This whole thing is so creepy, and the people are being mutated. It is just really horrible. And then the priests take Mia to this creature's mountain, and she has to walk alone into a long dark cave. And at the end, she meets the creature, and it is horrible. And I'm not gonna even tell you how horrible it is. It creeped me out. It really creeped me out. It was a big relief to move on to the next chapter, which was set on Earth with normal people doing normal things. And we met a middle-aged guy who's a brigadier in the Human Defense Force Reserves. So he used to be in the military, and he's retired, and he's got a family and kids. And he's just been given a dose of serum created with the help of alien DNA that either gives you almost eternal youth or it kills you. And besides him, 3 other people have received the same treatment: the guy's wife, and the humanities president, and the president's ex-husband. So I would have thought they would have tested this on a few other people first, but apparently there's complicating issues. And we also learn a bit of the backstory about all the fighting between humans and aliens, and a lot of ups and downs and the wars. At which point I'm like, that's a lot of backstory. And so I went and looked it up. And this series is part of a bigger story universe. And I checked on the author's website, and there's this Earthrise universe, and it includes Earthrise, the original series, which has 15 books in it. Then it's A Prayer for Earthrise, which is this series that this book is in. And then it's Soldiers of Earthrise, and then it's Children of Earthrise. And we reviewed a box set of the first 6 books in the first series last month. And it's no longer free. But like I said earlier, they are all in Kindle Unlimited. So if this is your kind of thing, there's so many books in this universe. People love them. You have a ton of reading. And so I really suggest reading that first series first, because otherwise the second chapter is a little confusing. And if you notice, I didn't give you anybody's names or tell you who they were or anything like that, because I didn't want to spoil anything if you're planning to read the first set of books. So that's why I suggest you go to the first books. And I will link the first books down below as well. And so that's it for today's reviews. If you like any of these books, let us know in the comments. Tell us if you've read any of them. Tell us if you like them. And please let us know if you prefer the romantasy and the romance and everything, or if you like the hard sci-fi and epic fantasy best. You can just leave an emoji if you like, a little heart or a little knife or sword or a little spaceship. That'd be great. Thanks. We'd love to see that you stuck around to the end of the video. And now I am going to put up some links to a couple of videos from the series that we are serializing now. It's RENNA'S Crossing by Geordie Morse, and we have an interview with the author and the first installment that he reads himself on our YouTube channel. And we're up to number 15 right now. So there's plenty of stuff for you to listen to catch up. It's a beautiful urban fantasy about a coming-of-age story about a girl with an unusual family, and there's a lot of magic happening in this world. It's really, really cute, and I highly recommend it. So thanks, everybody. I will see you next week, because we're here all the time. Like and subscribe if you want to get more of these free Fridays in your inbox. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.